What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm GB. I got Brian. I got Coop with me. This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast on November 22nd, 2022. What's happening, fellas?
Going on?
What's going on?
Man, we back at it. Coop always come with the quiet storm to start the show, man. I love it. So today we're gonna be talking about the NFL as always, because we're big NFL fans. We'll recap last week, talk about this week. We'll do a little bit of college football talk, specifically targeting on one key Pac-12 matchup.
Pac-12, yeah.
Are they still Pac-12 for
They're
like a
still
year?
Pac-12. They're
for
2
now.
years.
Yep.
2 years, and then we'll talk about a little NBA and throw something to our other segment that we're keeping going. So let's get to it, man. NFL recap. We want to start with the teams, or how y'all want to do it?
Well, it looks like Brian don't really want to say nothing.
I
want to say a lot. It starts with "I told you so."
Okay, go ahead. Well, that's the
you
start.
got it.
Go ahead.
You
got it.
Pick whichever team you all want to talk about.
Let's start there.
First,
Let's start there. Our team's won. First time that's happened.
Yeah.
Not my team. No, we had a week at the beginning of the season where all three of our teams won. We were happy about that.
Yeah, we did have 1 week.
It was like week 2 or 3.
You know what? All right, fine. You know what? We won't start Minnesota. I'll start with Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Now, a lot of people are back on the Jimmy G bandwagon now. He threw for 4 touchdowns.
Best quarterback in that game by far.
Best quarterback in that game. Other side was Colt McCoy.
And Colt McCoy.
And Trace McSorley. Yeah. Nobody really knows where either of them went to college. I do, but whatever.
Texas.
It's Trace McSorley though. That's the unknown. But so let's go. Jimmy G. 63% of his passing yards are after the catch. So he's really not throwing the ball too far down the field. He's
we watched
trying to get it short. He doesn't throw down the sideline, doesn't throw deep. But look, it was a bad Arizona team. That's all I can pretty much say. That team is not really good. It's DeAndre Hopkins, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice, I thought about during the game, and we're gonna lose our defense coordinator, D'Amico Ryan. Somebody's gonna offer him a head coaching job. I think he's really good. We'll get another compensation draft pick for him because he's black or whatever. But I don't give a damn about his color. He's just a good defense coordinator, former linebacker in the league. So I'm happy to see him be successful and possibly move on. But as far as us like playoff chances, we're undefeated in the division. That's great. But I was looking at our team, Glenn and Brian, and I thought, man, if we had a quarterback, we probably could be one of the best teams this decade. Seriously, because we have pretty much a first or second team all-pro caliber player in every unit of the field except
131.9 quarterback rating.
I know, bro. He can't get no
I only had a quarterback.
He's played 6 playoff games and was the worst quarterback. He was the worst quarterback in all 6 playoff games. I do not trust him. But
all stuff. We talked about Monday.
No, but let me tell you what I like.
Mexico.
Let me tell you what I like. So the 49ers start off running the ball as usual against 6 defensive linemen still running. Finally, Kyle gave up and passed the ball 14 out of 15 times. I loved it. He finally passed the ball more than 3 times in a series. So I like that part. I don't think it's going to sustain or keep up, but at least I like that Kyle finally passed the ball. We end up getting a good result. I'm not taking too much out of the game. It was a bad Arizona team, and that's pretty much it. I don't know your guys' thoughts on the game.
I thought, man, y'all defense, like you said, there's stars at every level. You got defense. The offense isn't crazy to guard. I mean, who do you try and key in on? You got a damn near one-on-one matchup everybody, and that's just nothing but mismatches across the field. Jimmy G looked like a superstar. I was just watching how he was throwing them 5-yard passes, just pow, right in the pocket. Boom, hitting them
5-yard passes in the pocket.
He was hitting them, bro. I mean, he can't be no more accurate. Yeah, I'm saying.
We had an offensive lineman. We had an offensive lineman catch a pass. George Kittle. He caught a couple of them for touchdowns.
Oh man, Kittle was getting busy. Like just everybody. Jimmy was just seeing the field. He was making the right read.
Seeing the field.
He was passing it. You know what I mean? It didn't have to go. You act like you got to throw 10, 15, 20 yards every time. Twos and fuse is good too.
Twos and fuse, and that's what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It looked like a dominating performance against a lesser opponent. That's what it looked
very
like.
lesser. Yeah.
Look, I do not think Garoppolo is a good quarterback, but he is the right quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know that you guys would be any better if you had
Trey Lance.
Well, especially Trey Lance. But I don't think you'd be any better if you had Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's the difference because the way the offense is designed to work.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
They want to pass. They want to run the ball a lot. They want to pass to keep them honest. And Jimmy Garoppolo throws short. I think the play calling limitations have less to do with what Garoppolo can do and more to do with what the team wants to do as an offense. And maybe they would change it up a little bit with Trey Lance, or maybe they thought they could go deeper with Trey Lance. But Jimmy Garoppolo is running the offense that he's being given quite well. And the rest of the folks on there, this is another week where both the running backs, Eli Mitchell outcarried McCaffrey and got more yards than him. Again, that's 2 weeks in a row since Eli Mitchell was back, and 1 week after, Christian McCaffrey went all over the place. They have figured out how to use the players that they have, all of which very talented. There's a ton of talent on that team. It was nice to watch Kittle actually look like the star he was supposed to become before he got injured every 13 minutes. But I just think that this team is what it's supposed to be. I don't think that they get better with most good quarterbacks. If you put an Josh Allen, quite honestly, if you put a Herbert on there, you put one of those guys whose big plus is to go deep. Maybe they change the way they run the offense. Maybe that all works out. But I don't think Ayuk is going to be as dominant as he has been in the last couple of weeks. If he's trying to run 40 yards before the catch, he gets the ball, he gets it in the pocket, he runs, he makes great plays. Kittle obviously is another guy who's not going to be a great deep threat. These guys, the Deebo Samuel, not a great deep threat. These guys aren't Hopkins on the other side, where he's at his best when you chuck the ball as far as you possibly can and let him go get it. The defense is just really, really good. Thank you to the defense, by the way. I had a fantasy football matchup where I was left for dead by everyone, and the 49ers defense got me the win. So they're obviously able to get at the quarterback. They're able to take advantages of matchups. They're able to expose quarterbacks who are not at the level, like a Trace McSorley or Colt McCoy. And this is a very hot, streaking NFC team. I mean, them or Dallas. If they played Dallas tomorrow in a neutral field, Jason, would you take the 49ers? Or
I would take the 49ers. I would take the 49ers just because of offense and coaching. That's it. I don't think Dallas is a bad team, but just offense and coaching.
No, I think Dallas is also another. As I remove the boot from my ass from this past week, I think that they are a very good team, and they're getting hot and streaking at the right time. But outside of I think if you have to power rank the NFC, it's still Philly. Then it's probably the 49ers on an upward trend. Then it's probably Dallas. Then it's probably a gap, and then it's probably the Vikings or Tampa Bay, who's kind of streaking at the same time.
Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the 49ers, but let me ask you this, because I heard somebody on the podcast say this. If the 49ers make the Super Bowl or even win the Super Bowl, do you re-up Jimmy G for $25-30 million a year?
If they win the Super Bowl, you have to.
Really? I don't think the 49ers
if they do
would.
anything less than that, you don't have to.
I don't think the 49ers will, even if he won it. Because
they're
only
trying to get rid of him.
Because right. Because remember, the only reason he's on the team because nobody wanted him. Let's start there. Somebody wanted Baker, somebody wanted Wentz. But here's another thing. Remember, I told you guys when they paid him that $42 million that first year when he signed up, and the next 2 years after that, and they tried to contact him in the offseason, he ghosted them. He never talked to him. And they got pissed off about that. It's like, dude, we gave you money.
Whether he signs their deal is one thing. If he wins them a Super Bowl, they have to make the attempt to re-sign him.
You think so?
Whether he signs the deal or not. And you do not want to be Trey Lance. If you're Trey Lance and they win the Super Bowl,
and you coming after that? You're right.
Because you do not want to be the guy who comes in after a Super Bowl championship team and be anything less than a Super Bowl championship is, we should have kept Jimmy Garoppolo. You could be outstanding. You could be all pro. You don't win the Super Bowl, it's, we should have kept Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't win in that situation.
I get that part, but we all know it's hard to go back to back. But I think
Jimmy G is.
I think Jimmy G's
the fans aren't reasonable.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this later, but I think Jimmy G's gonna be the Jets quarterback next year. But we'll go to that.
It would make sense based off
makes a lot of sense.
Off how the Niners coaches have done. All right, so you mentioned the boot coming out the behind. B, what's up with what happened with this team? Man, I didn't get to see any of it, but highlights.
Been telling you all season they're not as good as you think they are. And they got exposed. Now, I will say, so here's the funny thing is that, going into the week when we talked last week, I did not realize that this was going to be a nationally televised game. game of the week on Channel 11, or I would have told you all right then and there they're going to get pantsed. Now, I thought that they would be a close game and they might be able to find a way to win, or they might find a way, they might lose, but it would be close. On Saturday night, I was playing cards, and we were talking about the game, and I said, I think it's a 10 a.m. game, and I don't think anything of it. And then later on, I went and looked at ESPN. I said, no, they're the afternoon game, and they're the quote-unquote game of the week. They drew the Tony Romo coverage. They're the game that's everyone else in the country, everyone's in the country is going to get, unless you were in, I think, in the Ohio, Cincinnati market. And the minute that happened, I sent a text to the person I was talking to and said, they're going to lose. I said, there's no chance. I've gone from they can keep this game close to they're going to lose, and they're going to lose badly. And so I watched the game.
You was right.
I watched the game. There, people might think, people are all like, you must have been so mad. I'm like, no, never got excited or energetic or expected anything different. I mean, and I think I sent you all a text 2 minutes into the game saying it only took 2 minutes for I mean, it took 2 minutes for him to, on national television, get sacked and fumble a ball when he knew he was going to get sacked. And everything from there went the way you would expect it to. The Vikings have a really bad problem. Now they're the best team with the best record ever to have a negative point differential. So they've lost their games by so much in both instances to Philly and to Dallas, both on national television. And they have a negative point differential with only 2 losses in the season. Yeah. Only team in history to have that. They already had the lowest when they only had like a 15-point differential with 8-1. But now it was even less than that. It was 20, or it's different than it was 20 something like. But anyways, now they have a negative point differential, 8-2 record. It was rough to watch. I mean, they didn't get Jefferson involved. The whole pregame hype was that how he was supposed to break the record for most yards over 3 seasons, and he was still going to have 7 games left. Didn't come anywhere near the record. Dalvin Cook showed some signs early to be able to run on a really awful Cowboys run defense, and then after that, nothing happened, and they lost all of their vision. All the play calls were as stock as you would expect if they were playing a preseason game with unsigned rookies playing it, and they didn't want to expose anything. He's like, they got into a huddle and they said, hey, you go this way and cut that way. You go this way and cut that way. There was no play calling involved in that. It was just disappointing. Cousins looked pedestrian. It looked like the moment was too big for him. And then we'll talk about it in a minute, but we've got another game this week on national television.
So of course I had to make this pick in my pool, and it came down to 2 things. It was, number one, does Dallas have the pass defense to defend Jefferson? Not one-on-one, but have a man over the top and, help out in coverage. And I thought, yes, not to completely stop him, but just try to contain him and not go off. And then number 2, I had to think about Minnesota. I'm like, are they a good team that's good enough that just hangs around, or are they a good team that have got some bounces and have gotten a little lucky in these 1-score games? Because they were losing a lot of these 1-score games last year, and they're winning them this year.
They've had to come back in every game this year.
Yeah, and so I thought I had confidence that Dallas would be able to at least contain Jefferson a little bit. He wouldn't go off. But I also thought Minnesota got lucky in Buffalo, and I think they were riding high on an emotional win. That's the only reason I took Dallas this game. Of course, I never thought the score would be, what it was, but that's why I took Dallas, and they ended up winning. But I don't think any less of Minnesota or any more of Dallas after that game. I just don't.
So I see it a little differently. I mean, obviously the results were what they were. I did not see Jefferson get locked up. I did not see Jefferson get locked up at all. He got 5 targets in that game. He caught 3 of them. I did not think everyone was talking about, Diggs is wonderful. That was not the game. The offensive line, which lost Darashaw early, the left tackle who had not let a single sack all season, was out in the middle of the first quarter. And then the defensive line for the Cowboys lived in the backfield. I mean, how many sacks were there? There were 6 or 7 sacks. 7 sacks over the course of the game. They lived in the back. 7 sacks is ridiculous. And these weren't like, oh, they grabbed them and rocked them. They kicked Cousins' butt. The line needed to step up. I don't think it was about what Diggs was able to do on Jefferson. I think
3 catches,
quite honestly,
33 yards.
Had enough time for for Jefferson to run down the field. I would absolutely give Jefferson a 50-50 ball. They just didn't. 5 targets tells you they were never able to throw the ball at all, right? But I
33 yards receiving. I mean, that's kind of few for Jefferson. But like I said, I don't really. If they play Dallas again. If they play Dallas again in the playoffs, I expect them to get a lot more targets and a lot more yards than 33.
No, because it'll be on national television. I've been saying it all season. You cannot put this team in Kirk Cousins in a situation that is exposed to the rest of the world. He needs to be on the B channel or C channel at 10 a.m. And when he wants him on the
UPN or football.
When you get to Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, or playoffs.
Oh man,
it's all ugly, and I don't care what other people say about how Cousins can be so great and blah blah blah. You can't tell me that this guy this week is the same quarterback who played the last 2 games. You can't tell me. It's the same. He wakes up in the morning afraid of TV cameras.
that D line get on you. You stuck. I didn't get to see any of the game.
7 sacks, ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of the game at all. I don't remember what I was doing, but
you probably was worried about the Raiders because your boy Devontae has been killing it statistically this year with the But go ahead, it's the second time you beat Denver, so
yeah.
And did you have something else? Devontae's leading the league in receiving touchdowns. You wouldn't have thought it early in the season when it didn't seem like he was getting any utilization. But.
Well, he was getting the thing is. I think the utilization got overlooked because of the losses and the types of losses. He was getting 7, 8 catches for many of those games, everything but the Saints. That game was borderline unwatchable. I watched every snap. That was so hard to watch. Both teams were not good.
Yeah.
You could see there's flashes in spots, but both teams were not good. Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams. I thank God for it. They made that watchable. The game was very tough. Obviously, Carrs get the ball to him, and Carr did some things, and Foster Moreau had a big catch, and they did enough to win. Absolutely, and that last play was phenomenal. And I loved seeing them win and seeing them hyped off the win, and that portion of it, seeing everybody kind of together. But the game was very tough to watch. We got the win, so anyone saw my Instagram, I was not super cheery about it. It was ugly, but happy to get a win. We beat Denver 6 times in a row, so. It's always awesome. Denver ain't been no good though in all them years, but they get a win.
That was a nail in the coffin for Hackett. He's I think at this game, I think he's done. This guy
he's out.
He doesn't call plays. He gave that up. He hired somebody to do clock management, so he doesn't do that. He doesn't run the defense. Dom Capers does that. He doesn't run the special teams. So
did you at least
exactly right? So what exactly do you do besides suck up all the air and take up space? He does absolutely nothing. Denver scored 1 touchdown the first quarter, and that was it. Now Russell Wilson actually made an inexcusable move late in the game by whatever he could have ran
that ball out of bounds.
Yeah, but whatever. But he's not playing well either. But he's not going anywhere. So yeah, I think this was a game where Hackett just got fired, and so I think they're going to have a new coach next year.
I don't know if he gets fired. Unless Wilson says you need to fire him, because the one thing is whether he has power or not. We were talking about this earlier in text message. Is irrelevant. He's got the most immovable contract in football right now, and there's no way he's going anywhere. I mean, he's more permanent than the bathroom stall in that building. So at this point, that's the only reason. And for whatever reason, Wilson is not turned on Hackett. He's turned on everybody else. The story that came out about why Gordon got cut.
That's funny.
Was hella funny.
That's funny. But go and tell them, Brian, just in case people don't know.
For those of you who didn't know, Gordon obviously has a history of fumbles, but he didn't lose a fumble in this game. And so they said that the reason why he was getting cut was because of the fumble issue. He did not lose a fumble in this game. So today there was a report that came out that the real reason he got cut was that he went into the locker room after the game and started playing a bunch of Future songs. And for those of you who know who Russell Wilson's wife is, Ciara, and that's Future's ex-fiance. And so there's always been some tension and animosity, and people who have used Future's music to get at Wilson throughout the preseason and everything else. And so anyways, the word is he went into the locker room, played Future's music in the locker room, and Wilson said, get him gone tomorrow or else.
That's got to be fake news.
I believe it because of who it came from. I believe it. I believe that probably happened.
The only reason why I believe it is he did not lose a fumble in that game. Like why after
that
this
fumble
game
he had though, he's against us
mid-evening.
Against us, he fumbled. Night. I think he fumbled in the last 2 games against us. He fumbled like 3 times. The fumble in the other game turned into a touchdown. This game, he had a first down.
Again, he did it.
That he
cut
dropped
him today. He didn't cut him when he lost the fumble.
Sure, but he had a fumble he had a first down at the 1 yard line that Max Crosby punched out that turned into a 4th down. That then got blocked.
Yeah, everybody knows
by Max Crosby.
Issues. They knew when
that killed their chance. Jason, the momentum shifted crazy.
His fumbling issues are there. This was not the difference in that game. Was not his not lost fumble.
Right.
Hey, that was a huge swing, bro.
Again, not in the middle of the week where they make an evaluation and go, "Hey, I think it's time. We got to move on from Gordon."
Right after the game,
they made a midnight decision to cut him. Because Alvin, our buddy sent us an IM this morning, but I knew about that the night before. I knew about it last night at like 10 or 11. They're like, oh, they're cutting him.
Watching the game, that fumble was huge.
You don't make decisions at 11 p.m. that are rational and well thought out.
That fumble was huge, but either way, it's a win.
Glenn said that fumble was huge.
It was, bro. I was watching the game like that fumble. He got a first down. It was 3rd and 1. He got a first down right in front of the goal line near the end of the half. That got punched out, turns into a 4th down that turns into a block kick. Yeah. No points at the half. It's huge.
He's averaging 4.5 yards to carry. The rest of the team is averaging something like 3.2.
Well, they'll pick it up once Latavius Murray can run if they can give him the ball, and I think he'll get those carries.
He's 2.6. He's averaging 2.6 yards a carry. He can run in space, but he gets hit. He stands straight up.
He's right.
He's going. He's
not like sideways. A real. He can play. Yeah, he's not a real running back. He can play, but he's not a real running back. Yeah.
They got Marlon Mack in the back anyway. But either way, man, that's enough Broncos talk. We got the win. Devontae's amazing. Josh Jacobs is amazing. Max Crosby's amazing. The rest of the team hopefully is coming together because that was not good football to watch. It was extremely annoying to watch that whole game.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you right now what was a bunch of hogwash. Okay, and this guy's getting replaced. That's Zach Wilson. Okay, he threw for 77 yards against the Patriots, and he had 2 yards in the second half, and had the nerve to say in the post-game interview when they asked him was the offense the reason, and he immediately said, "No, not really."
Yeah,
and
I don't owe the defense anything.
Right, and I read the reports that the team is kind of pissed off about like, dude, I'm gonna need you to have some.
Oh, I know they were because since Selah said that. I'm not saying who the quarterback is.
Right.
Defensive players were tweeting pictures of themselves throwing the ball. So I already knew they was clowning.
I'm like, man, so, it was a very boring game, but that's a bunch of hogwash to be a starting NFL. Now, of course, I called this guy bust.
No, wait a minute.
I don't want to say I'm right, but what happened?
So Zach Wilson was out for the first 2 losses of their season, right? Mm-hmm. That was those were losses with what's his name?
Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson's only lost 2 games, both of which to the same team, both of which to a coach that anyone you ask is better than most historically at exposing young quarterbacks because of the way he knows how to run schemes, right? So if we're going to write off Zach Wilson based on 2 games with 2 losses.
We're not burning up. No, he's throwing for 55%, and they're winning despite him. He's not winning because of them. They're winning despite him.
They beat the Bills, man. They beat the best team in the AFC with him.
They beat Green Bay.
Look, I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to be great. I don't. Yeah. I think Zach Wilson's is this year's Mac Jones, and because Mac Jones was on the Patriots, he got a pass last season, but his numbers were not any different. And so why is Zach Wilson the one we're going to ship off with a better record going to the playoffs right now? Why is that the one that gets written off when Mac Jones was, he's going to be, he could be the next Josh Allen, he could be the blah blah blah. But he showed all the same signs that he was going to be.
Zach Wilson is worse. Zach Wilson is worse. He's terrible.
Did Mac Jones?
He's worse than Mac Jones. Yes, he's thrown for 55%, 20 starts. He started 20 games. Zach Wilson. He is.
And
horrible.
What do you think Mac Jones's was?
I don't know what Mac Jones is, but I'll take his garbage ass over Zach Wilson. No.
Why don't the Patriots get Jimmy G back? Why we said the Jets?
I don't think that he would want to.
Because the Jets have shown the propensity over that one. I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah.
But they have shown the propensity to go out and try and sign quarterbacks like a Joe Flacco. Whereas
Jets have salary cap.
And New England, Belichick's ego has never let him pay to bring somebody in. They're not going to pay Jimmy G. He thinks he can do everything through the draft. He's never done it.
Look at that. Does he think he could get paid like that anyway? He just was in the system previously.
Wait, to Brian's point, Glenn, look at that roster. The Jets have drafted well. They just messed up at quarterback. They have players around there. It's built just like the 49ers, just how Robert Saleh is building. They run the same damn offense. You get Jimmy G in there, I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they'll be better than what they are. And the Jets will pay money for a quarterback. They'll pay. They have a lot of salary cap. And Jimmy wants to get paid because he's taking a big discount, big cut this year. He's getting paid some money, but not nearly as much as he thought. Yeah, not nearly as much he thought he would make. So
got a lot of bonuses coming.
So he can recoup a lot of that money playing for the Jets. And I think maybe Tom Brady will be in play for the 49ers next year. I'm not saying he will, but I'm just saying
when you all have free time, anyone who's listening to the show, type in Mac Jones comparison to Zach Wilson. The numbers are literally the freaking same.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I know. I don't think Mac Jones is any good either, but I didn't know they were about the same.
Did y'all see the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Oh, that was a good game.
Man, every time they match up, the division games are often good. A lot of the teams in our division are not that good, but the matchups are good. Another Mahomes magic at the end. Travis Kelce, everybody's like, just double him, just guard him. Somehow he's always open.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. That dude is just always on, and he doesn't get hurt. Doesn't get hurt. He's always open. He does not.
I hope he doesn't
hurt.
too. Respect to him, man. I ain't trying to see the
I mean, that dude is good. Travis Kelce is good. Everybody, if we all know who's getting the ball in a certain situation, they still can't stop him. I mean, that
can't do anything with it.
Yeah, he's a very, very good tight end.
And also the enemy too, because they set up plays for it. Like that last play when he scored was, just a typical pick play.
Yeah.
And it just worked well. Crossers. Typical.
Yeah. But also when they're down though, I think because Aaron Rodgers, you can always, when they show him on TV, he's rolling his eyes, he has his facial expressions, whatever. Mahomes doesn't have all that. It seems like when they're down, he looks at it as a challenge. Like, okay, guys, let's go ahead and get it. You heard him in the interview. He was like, let's get it done. It's like everybody, buys in and believes. But I don't think less of the Chargers. There's loss because, Justin Herbert's really not playing with a coach and some of his players. So I don't really, think that,
I mean, it was good to see Keenan Allen back and healthy.
Yeah.
I thought the most interesting part of this game were the players that you didn't know, Isaiah Pacheco and Joshua Palmer. I thought it was really interesting to see how in a big game, big moment, Isaiah Pacheco ran for 107 yards and 7 yards a carry. They just cut players. They haven't had a running back to be spoken of. And then all of a sudden, this guy kind of comes out of the dust and looked really strong in a big game. And then Joshua Palmer, who 3 weeks ago was available any free agent pickup, I know because I picked them up then, comes out there for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. To add someone like Palmer to a Keenan Allen and Eckler, who can come out of the backfield, is a big deal. I think that both of these teams are very, very talented. I don't think the Chargers are going to do enough to be able to get back into a playoff hunt.
You don't think they make the playoffs, Brian?
No.
Okay, so Brian, he's definitely going to coach. Then you can't have that kind of talent. You can't waste Justin Herbert.
You want to fire everybody after the first year?
No. Oh yeah, Brandon Staley was there last year. I got him 2 years. Yeah, I gave him 2 years. Yeah, dude can't coach. Yeah,
you wanted to fire him after last year.
I did. Justifiable.
Yeah, he wouldn't have hired him.
Man,
no, he wouldn't have hired. Yeah,
I wouldn't hire him.
Yeah, no, that was a good game. I love seeing those two teams play. Honestly, even though they're in division, the game's always good.
Herbert is
It always
really
comes in.
good.
Yes, he
I know
is.
he
And
threw
he's
a
being
pick,
wasted. Yes.
but
Still
he
young. He got
throws
time.
some throws, and the same way you used to go, how did Mahomes make that pass?
Yeah.
The same way you look at Herbert. And of all the guys who, you have the other young quarterbacks, Tua and all these other guys, the only one that my jaw drops at the passes that he can make consistently is Herbert.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tua is a left-handed Mac Jones. So, yeah. So, yeah. I'm with you on that. Herbert is really good. The Chargers are just chronic underachievers. I mean, they've always been like that for years, no matter how
They
good
have a
their squads
kicker.
have been.
The kicker works.
Kicker to kicker.
Oh, man. Hey, any other games y'all liked last week?
Nah, I mean, shout out to the Eagles, right? Because they're still balling. They figured out a way to win to beat Jeff Saturday and the hot Colts
They beat
now.
them on
But
Sunday.
The fact that they had to figure out a
win.
way to beat Jeff Saturday says something about a wobbly status at the top. But, but they're still the best team in the NFC.
Take that dub, yeah. What about this week?
Wait. Let me go back real quick. Y'all didn't watch that Tennessee Green Bay game on Thursday night? Tennessee just ran all over them. Just ran on. I mean,
I think I had it on TV.
It was on. I'll put it like that.
It was on. Okay.
Yeah, it was on. I shout out to King Henry and Vrabel. But
yeah, Vrabel. Yeah, shout out to Vrabel. That dude.
I'm cool.
Yeah. But Green Bay lost, so I know Brian's happy. But yeah. All right, moving on.
What about this week? Who you guys excited about? Lions have a chance to go for 4 straight against the Bills. Bills get to play in the same stadium twice.
I don't think I got much to say about that. I'll take Buffalo on the route.
On Thanksgiving Day. Giants and the Cowboys, and then Patriots and Vikings on Thanksgiving too.
The Patriots and Vikings is the game I'm interested in. The Giants have overachieved. They might lose a few games in a row now, but it's the Vikings and New England. And I want to hear Brian's take on this game because it's Minnesota minus 2.5 at home. What? It's Minnesota minus 2.5 at home.
So hold on. They're at home against New England Patriots, and they're
Patriots are weak. Patriots are
just after they were a dog to Dallas at home. So Vegas believes that Dallas is significantly better than New England.
New England has no offense. Yeah,
I'm saying Vegas so far is
Here's
right.
the thing. I don't give a care what the spread is. If they put Cousin on national TV, we lose him.
He's on national TV.
It's gonna be on national TV. Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day at nighttime.
Thanksgiving Day. They're the game, the big game, right?
Yeah.
So there's two. When you have Thanksgiving, there's always a Dallas game and whoever they're going to play, and
by 1:30,
a Detroit game and whoever they're going to play.
We always get Detroit first out the way.
This a couple years ago. They have one game that they're like, this is going to be the good matchup because those Dallas and Detroit matchups can suck sometimes, and they put the Vikings on national television.
That's not a good matchup. That's actually. Watching the Patriots and Vikings does not sound like a good matchup.
At the beginning of the season, it probably seemed like a good matchup. Yeah. Mac Jones is supposed to be the after last year, he's supposed to be this rising star.
Isn't he just young Kirk Cousins?
I thought that was what they called him in the thing. I don't know.
So. Well, they call Garoppolo the good-looking Kirk Cousins.
This game on national television.
And Dak is the black Kirk Cousins, but yeah, okay, all right. So I'm going Minnesota. I'm going with a team that actually knows how to score points. So it's a team that doesn't
win.
I don't know
how many points we scored last week.
That's Dallas.
Knows how to score what?
I
don't. Patriots defense is solid too, though.
Yeah, who they play on? Who's on offense? Just name me 2 receivers on New England. I don't know any of them.
Abbott and Costello.
I don't know any of them.
Who's on defense? Who's on offense?
But that's because they have a quarterback who's clearly much better than Zach Wilson, who only throws for 135 yards a game.
Oh, well, see, Zach Wilson threw for 99, so he is better. So there it is. There it is.
He averages 138.
Who we got?
3 yards more.
Then we got.
Let me tell you a point spread that I see. It's Tampa Bay at Cleveland, and it's Tampa Bay minus 3 against Jacoby Brissett. I would take Tampa all day. Jacoby Brissett and Tom Brady were teammates in New England. But anyway, I would definitely take Tampa in that one. That was just surprising.
Tampa's streaking.
Yeah,
they are doing it. They're doing it kind of like covertly.
Right.
They're not flashy, but they're streaking.
They found a running game.
If the Vikings are not the third best team in the NFC, then Tampa Bay is.
Yeah, they're starting to come on and get a little healthier. They found a little running game. What about Philly and Green Bay? You think Green Bay got a chance? It's a touchdown for Philly. No.
Philly, no.
Okay.
So on the point spread,
Philly's defense is solid, and just
on the point spread, 7 points is right around, I think, the right number.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, it's going to be 7 or 8 or 9 points if Philly wins, or it could be, a little bit late. Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back late and win because that's not what he does. And I don't think that they're going to beat Philly. I honestly think that the reason why it's as close as it is because of their win against Dallas. And so they feel like they might have a game plan against a Philly team, but Philly's they're a better team with more heads, a better head on their shoulders. And I still don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to play football this year.
I said last week the Rams were finished after they lost to Arizona. Their season is done. They're 15-point underdogs at Kansas City. 15.
In fairness, Rams are done. I'm not saying they're going to do anything else. Stafford looked healthy for the first time this season in that last game, though.
Okay.
They're going to need him.
He threw a good pass. No, they could shut him down at this point. But it just goes back, Jason, you and I both said we thought that he wasn't healthy coming into the season and that they rushed him back. I honestly think he was not. And he looked like the last year Stafford in this last game. They didn't win it, but I think he looked healthy.
They ain't gonna win this week either. It'd be great if they did. As I look at these matchups, I see that you have the top teams and then everyone else. Like I don't see a lot of guys in the middle who I think, they're on the rise. Like you have those top teams on the NFC and AFC, and then everyone else is just like, we'll see you next year.
I think that the Jets versus the Bears is actually going to be a more interesting game.
Yeah.
Not because it's got playoff implications or anything like that.
Yeah.
But Justin Fields, so this was something I was talking to somebody else around. Justin Fields was the top daily fantasy league quarterback, most expensive, right? You wait for those of you who do it
for them yards,
you can pick anyone he wants. Because he is at that level right now. That's with Josh Allen. That's with tons of quarterbacks that were playing throughout the league. Dak Prescott, all nine, and it was Justin Fields. You can't defend a Justin Fields with a traditionally great defense like a New York Jets has.
He's hurt.
Jets have a great defense, but there's certain players, that you can't use that type of a defense, a traditionally really strong defense to protect against. And Justin Fields falls into that category. He's not going to throw. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But he's going to run for 135 yards. Yeah. So anyways, I just think it's going to be a more interesting game. I honestly, I think the Jets win it, but I think that game is probably way more entertaining than the spread and everything else we give it to him. It's Jets -4.5.
Yeah, Glenn, he's not hurt. He just has a little shoulder injury. He's playing though. His shoulder is not keeping him out of the game.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Justin Fields.
Oh, he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing that game.
Shoulder.
Quickly. Go ahead. I was gonna make 2 quick points. Did you see that spread? Baltimore playing the Jaguars, only Baltimore -4. That seemed like a trap to me. I don't know. Baltimore seems like they're significantly better than Jacksonville.
I was gonna say I would.
Only 4 points.
I would take Baltimore all day on that.
Yeah. Real quick. Let me ask you guys this question. The guy at work, 49er fan, told me he'd rather be the Rams than be the Niners. And I said I'd rather be the Rams. He said, why? Because they won the Super Bowl last year. That's why I want the chip. I want the chips. I mean, I don't.
You're talking about promise, and he's talking about promise, and you're talking about the realities.
Right. I want the results. I mean, nobody's gonna shame the Rams in LA for being bad this year. They'll just come back next year. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, they got the ring, definitely.
You got the ring. That's what counts.
Quickly, you guys are playing the Saints at home. Niners and Saints. What you got?
This game is a 10-point spread. I would take the Saints plus the 10.
10-point spread?
Yeah, I would take the Saints.
I would take 10. I wouldn't give the 10 points up, but the Niners are going to win that game.
Yeah, I would take the 49ers to win. I just win because I think Andy Dalton's quarterback and you can't really trust him, but I think they'll keep it close enough.
And we're in Seattle. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm taking you guys plus 3.5. It's Seattle -3.5. Yeah.
Seattle -3.
I'm 3.5.
I take Seattle.
Probably the toughest matchup I think we've had this year at this stage because they're actually good.
I heard somebody on the podcast say that Geno is worth $25 million a year. I'm like, no. He might get paid a little bit, but it ain't gonna be no damn $25 million. Hey, you just can't ignore 8 years.
I'd love to see him
over
get
10 games. So I don't think
Seattle get it.
I don't think Seattle give him that kind of money.
Right,
but is it a lot of money anymore? I mean, when you have quarterbacks that are making 40,
right?
But Stafford making 61, Milson making 57.
I hear you.
25 isn't really.
It seems like
Cousins
a bargain.
makes 40.
Yeah. I think if you got a franchise quarterback, I think that's a bargain, but I don't think Geno's a franchise quarterback. Like I said, 10 games.
No, but that's the whole thing. It's like the other quarterbacks making, I just looked it up real quick. The other quarterbacks making $25 million a year are guys like Baker Mayfield at 15, Jameis Winston at 14. Tom Brady makes $25 million on a 1-year contract. Yeah. But after that, Tannehill's 29, Matt Ryan's 30, Carson Wentz. You would take Geno over Tannehill, Ryan, Wentz, Goff. I would take him over Cousins.
Would you?
Oh yeah.
I can't ignore 8 years.
It's tough with depending on the offense too.
And it's 10 games.
I can't ignore 8 years either.
Hilarious.
All right, DB, get us on track. Where we at now?
Tell me about this college football game. I didn't see none of it.
Brian, you're a USC fan. You started off. Go ahead.
Yeah, USC versus
this was
UCLA.
One hell of a football game. I mean, both of these teams played their hearts out. You could tell. So early, it looked like UCLA might run away with it. But both teams played exceptionally well. It was great to see USC bounce back without Travis Dye. Caleb Williams has shown time and time again that he will absolutely play well on Sundays. He is an accurate passer. He does not make the big mistake. He knows how to throw to where only his receiver can get it. And Dorian Thompson, is a gamer. I don't know if he makes it to a big time player, but he is absolutely going to be somebody on somebody's roster just because if he comes in, he's got so much heart that he kept that team in that game until he made a pretty big mistake, but one that's understandable with the interception at the end. I don't, Jason, before I get into too much into the X's and O's, throughout that game, did you not get the feeling that UCLA was going to steal that game from SC?
No. So when someone asks me how did I feel about the game, I said I don't have a dog in the fight. But if I had to pick, I'm thinking like this: UCLA is very good running the ball, and USC analytically is bad against the run. So I think they will have success. But on the flip side, UCLA has trouble against mobile quarterbacks. So I thought USC would have success. And then so the determining factor to me in that game, who's the best player on the field? It's Caleb Williams. USC by 3.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. But what I was saying is during the game, UCLA took a 14-0 first quarter lead, and USC looked stunned.
Yeah.
And I give Caleb all the credit in the world for rallying his team and bringing it back in. But what was it? It was.
So let me tell you what's going through my mind. I thought that DTR was going to make a mistake because I've seen him do it before in big spots.
Sure.
I knew he was going to make a mistake.
He's mistake prone.
Right. He's definitely mistake prone. And I just thought no matter what happened, it's sort of like Kansas City. You just know they're going to come back. I knew USC was going to come back because overall I thought going into the game, once I looked at it, USC's the better team. And I think they were going to find a way to win, and they did. But the score, I had it by 3. UCLA taking that lead didn't surprise me, but I never thought the game was in doubt, Brian, if that was your question. I always thought USC would come back and win.
Yeah, no, I thought the game was definitely in doubt. I mean, Caleb Williams is outstanding. He's only got 3 picks. I think people forget just how good you have to be to play at the level that he's been playing at all year, throw for as many yards as he's been throwing and many touchdowns, and only throw 3 picks as a college quarterback. That is outstanding. The other people who are in big games who have less picks than him are just not throwing the ball nearly as much as him. That kid is a gamer to the max. But this is the thing about SC has never been a talent concern. It's been that it's really hard for them to fight back because they couldn't get stops.
Yeah.
And the second half, they really could not get stops on UCLA. The only stops they got were these huge, massive, game-changing interceptions, which they haven't done since the first 2 weeks of the season. Because remember, at the beginning of the season, Jason, you said their problem is their defense sucks.
Right.
And through week 1 and 2, I was teasing you about it because I'm like, well, their defense was good this week, and they were getting these huge interceptions and making these game-changing plays. They did that again this week, right? Getting 3 picks, obviously one really critical. I thought they fought back well, but at no point in time did I ever feel safe that that USC was was going to be able to pull that out. Matter of fact, even on that drive, I was sitting there with a bunch of UCLA fans, and I said, "Oh, you got this. We haven't been able to stop them in the whole second half." But I loved it. I loved watching Austin Jones come out there and run for 120 yards. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Zach Charbonnet. He continues to look like somebody who's going to play very well on Sunday. I think he'll be the best back out of UCLA since MJD. For those of us old folks who remember Maurice Jones-Drew.
Now tell me, assess the probability you think they'll make the college football playoffs, assuming they beat Notre Dame and Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game.
Zero. I think it's been written. I honestly think that the committee has made a decision that SC does not get in.
Yeah, I think if Ohio State and Michigan both are not getting in, so one of those people are going to lose. They're going to drop down.
I disagree.
LSU loses to Georgia, they're dropping down. They'll have 3 losses. They don't have a chance.
Why did they just raise? They took a 7th or 8th ranked LSU team with 2 losses and moved them up over SC and leave SC where they were at 6.
I told you,
this should have been a given for SC after this week.
Well, the thing is, like I said, LSU loses the Georgia and SEC championship game. There'll be no excuses. They'll be dropping. And
they'll
USC
be dropping.
Can move up.
And I honestly believe that it's going to go into the playoffs. SC is going to be 5th. They're gonna take a 1-loss Ohio or Michigan and leave them in there as the 4th.
Really?
They're gonna move TCU up into that spot. So you're gonna have Georgia as 1. The winner of the Michigan Ohio State game is 2. You're gonna have TCU as 3. And you're gonna have the other one there. And that gives the reason I think they're gonna do that is they want Ohio State and Michigan both in there, but they don't want them to play against each other again the next time. So they're going to make it Ohio or Michigan State versus TCU and Georgia versus the other one. We all know Georgia's going to win. Then we'll see what happens on that game. I honestly don't think TCU is going to beat either of them, even a 1-loss team, Ohio State or Michigan. And you're going to get you get a Big Ten matchup winner versus a Georgia.
See, I think
they want that. I don't think they want USC. I think part of it is that they're making USC pay a penance for everything that they did this year to rock it by getting Lincoln Riley, by having all those transfers. That's not what
I don't think so, because
the establishment wants.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's mad they paid for Caleb Williamson. Everybody knows they paid for him. I don't think they're mad at that. But this is what I think
they're mad that they paid for Lincoln Riley and took him away from a Oklahoma institution that's supposed to be one of those big schools, and we stole him.
Well, from what I understand, Lincoln Riley never wanted to go to the SEC, so I think it worked.
Who would?
But I halfway agree and disagree. I think the committee will take a 1-loss Ohio State team. I don't think they'll take a 1-loss Michigan team, because I just don't think they're big Harbaugh Michigan.
Michigan almost lost.
I
get that. I just
and
Michigan,
so I think
Michigan and TCU barely won.
Yeah, this is how I see it. I see Alabama, Ohio State. I see USC at 3 jumping TCU because USC just played a better schedule than TCU, and I think they want to see USC play Ohio State, because I damn sure will want to see that, and then Alabama will Georgia or whatever will just beat. Will beat TCU.
I think that's a very reasonable way to think of it, and the committee's proven their I think TCU is all but guaranteed a spot.
Right.
I think I think the other 2. I just have a funny feeling after what they've done for all these other 1- and 2-loss teams to put them above USC, that they will take a 1-loss Ohio State or Michigan over a 1-loss USC team.
For the West Coast tape or Pac-12 tape, like all of the teams are in the top 25.
Yeah,
they are really, really good. They can't keep them out of the top 25 because you don't lose, you can't drop them out.
Right.
But they put them in positions where they have absolutely no chance of being.
Oregon's in there, Utah's in there, USC's in there, UCLA's in there.
Pac-12 is a great season, and the only losses they're having are to other very good Pac-12
Washington.
Teams.
Serious.
They're not losing to Cal.
Yeah.
USC didn't do their usual crap the bed and lose to Stanford.
Or Oregon State.
We watched that
Oregon State. Going to Oregon State, that's usually one that usually gets.
They
didn't do those. They didn't do the predictable losses. They didn't lose this game to UCLA, which in years past they would have lost.
Yeah, Riley and Williams doing their thing. So sliding from there, let me as we're kind of rounding out the show, what about NBA talk, man? Lakers just lost. I was just watching that.
Hmm.
Um, our enforcer is Patrick Beverly, which is funny. Um, Lakers lose again, but they've been playing. They've won a few without LeBron recently. Kings are really hot right now. I'm loving to see them get some dubs.
They're
What
actually.
what are you guys thinking?
Uh, I'll be quick. I don't really don't take too much from the wins that the Lakers have had without LeBron because they had lost 5 straight before that, and then the teams that they had beat. I mean, it was Detroit. I watched the actual Detroit game. Detroit really isn't that good. And they also beat Brooklyn, which they have problems, and they beat a really bad San Antonio team who was missing their. Even though they're not a good team, they were missing some players as well. So I don't really take too much from beating those teams. A step up in competition was Phoenix, and they lost. But AD has been balling, which has been predictable. We all saw those videos in the offseason, him working out 4 or 5 in the morning. He heard the criticism. Everybody's talking about how he can't stay healthy, street clothes, blah, blah, blah. So him
Yep.
having a good first half of the season is very predictable. Now, the second half, I don't know if his body's going to fail him or not. Who knows? But the first half, it's been predictable, and he's been carrying the Lakers without LeBron, like we all expected when we first got him. But I don't expect AD to sustain
Yeah.
this type of performance or just this type of a statistical performance. What about you, Brian?
So I won't talk about whether he can sustain it or not because I don't want to try and predict the future, especially on injury history with AD. But he got a lot of flack at the beginning of the season for not coming out strong. He took it to heart, as you said, and he has played outstanding basketball without LeBron. I think the question is, do they need to change the way that they're running the offense to accommodate the style of basketball they played without LeBron? So without when LeBron's in the game, the ball in the game run, the whole entire offense runs through LeBron. That's not to say he's greedy and like Westbrook and chucks it all up or anything like that, but it all runs through LeBron. And the way that AD has shown success at the center position historically and now, because that's where he's playing, is getting into the box, getting the ball, being able to make moves, do that little hook shot that he likes, turn around with the baby jumper, and get fouled and get to the free throw line. He also gets a lot of rebounds, and that's exactly what he's doing here. It's completely different than when they won the championship because in that instance, he was playing power forward. He was a little bit more on the outside. He had other big guys, and it was a different role. And he's played his role quite well. So I think the question is, do they sit down and go, hey, LeBron and AD, we're going to change the way that we're running this offense a little bit. It's going to be less run up and down the court, which is where they were successful for the championship, is getting out in the break. And it's going to be a little bit more half-court offense and a little bit more bang in the box. And we're going to run it through AD. The problem is I don't think that's particularly LeBron's butter. He makes plays on the move, and he's not a great half-court player. He's not a great shooter, but he's a great facilitator. So I honestly think they should do that. I don't think it's a bad loss to lose to the number one seed in Phoenix. They stuck with them. They played well-ish, and losing to that team without LeBron, I think, is predictable. So it'll be interesting when they play some of those next tier teams, when they play Sacramento again, and Utah, and the Clippers, and New Orleans, and
It's cool to
and all
have
that.
Sac
If
as
they
a
can win
next
some of
tier.
those other top five seeds, they could be turning a corner. That said, I don't think the Lakers are ever over 500 this year.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't think them.
I don't think they're going to ever put it together.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is going to have issues if AD gets hurt. And I reserve the right to change my mind on everything I just said.
I would love it if it happened, but yeah, right now I don't. Yeah, I don't see it. I do
There's not an
think.
hour that doesn't go by without 5 different Laker trade rumors.
Yeah, and Westbrook actually does it kind of good with the second unit. I'm not gonna lie, like he looked fairly good in this.
That's they said they wanted to do with him, so they made it
It's a
happen.
lot of money for a guy to come off your bench.
Yeah, $47 million bench player.
Yeah, it's 1 year. He's balling though. And then Coop talked to Darvin Ham in the Bahamas or whatever, so Jamaica. So
Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, he told him what it was gonna be. So I think for me, man, the biggest thing is the Kings right now. I mean, obviously living in Sacramento, a lot of my friends are Kings fans. It's cool to see them getting some wins. I like to
Oh,
see
it's 2 years
Mike
already?
Brown get it. What's that?
It's 2 years already because they're usually 2 years away from being 2 years away. So I guess 2 years expired.
I mean, we're gonna see. It's still early, right? But they're balling. They're balling right now, and they added this. I love this marketing campaign they did with the Like the Beam. So they have this like purple beam on top of the stadium for every Kings win.
Okay. Okay.
And I think it's super smart, and I wouldn't be surprised if more teams do a version of it, where it's becoming a chant like the beam, and people are really excited to
Yeah,
see
it'll probably
that,
be teams that
see
ain't
where it goes.
won no titles like the Clippers and stuff. So yeah, probably teams that ain't
Sure,
won
it's
nothing.
a cool
Yeah.
marketing campaign, but they're balling. Shout out to Mike Brown and them young boys, man. I wanted De'Aaron Fox the entire time. I wanted him before Lonzo Ball that entire draft. All I could hope was we would get him.
Me too.
We didn't, but I thought he was the best player, the best guard in that draft. Just after watching him play against Lonzo and other players in college, but Kings made the right moves, which is often rare to say. So shout out to them. Suns look pretty good today. They're playing us, so it's always easy to look good against us. But that's kind of all my I've kind of watched games here or there. Philly
Yeah, I'll tell you
and
something that's
the
hogwash,
Nets
man.
was good today too.
Big-
Tell me something that's
Schroeder,
hogwash.
Schroeder playing 20 minutes and scoring 0 points.
Oh yeah.
0 for 6. Everyone was talking about when he comes back, he'll be a facilitator. He is legitimately looking awful this season.
Facilitator. He wasn't doing nothing. I saw
Facilitator. He had 1 assist.
Yeah, I didn't see him doing when I was in there. It was kind of
Nada.
running
20.
around.
How do you play 20 minutes and barely scrape the stat sheet?
I could tell you if I went out there right now, I could tell you
If I went out there right now,
I'll scrape my knee before I scrape the stat sheet. So I get it. But I'm not paid to play basketball. So yeah, it's gonna be another tough season for the Lakers.
Want to know someone else who did almost the same? Is Beverly, 0 for 29 minutes. He had 10 rebounds.
Shit, that's equivalent to Zach Wilson going 9 for 22 for 77 yards passing. Yeah, that's equivalent. Yeah, that's some hogwash.
It's bad. It's gonna be bad. I think the rest, like looking at the East, is kind of what we expect: Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, Pacers.
Yeah.
Wiz. So we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, I think exciting, man. It's good to have all the sports in full swing as we get towards this holiday. If you celebrate, Indigenous Peoples Day or whatever, however you celebrate it. But yeah, you guys have anything else that you want to kind of throw in there before we?
Nah, just happy holidays, everybody. Thanks everybody for listening, and we're gonna try to get a live podcast in December. So we'll let you guys know. Hopefully, you guys can tune in, say a little something, give us a little comment, clown if you want, whatever. Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah. Any our last segment, man. All I was gonna do for my kind of minute to win it. Shout out to the Kings again, playing good ball. Love to see Mike Brown getting wins. I like the beam. It's cool to see some energy around the Kings in the city. That's all I got.
Yeah. I just feel like, again, it seems like way too often, but again, I want to put my heart out for those people who know and were around the Colorado shooting at the LGBTQ nightclub. As the information comes out, it's just sadder and sadder. How all of that went down. The amount of violence at schools, around people of color, around the LGBTQ community, is just tragic, and it makes me sad every single time I see the next thing. And I wish I was not becoming so desensitized every time I see it to go, well, here we go again. And I feel that. So, my heart goes out to those folks, and I hope everyone who has survived, those who passed, are able to manage their way through it.
Definitely. Cool.
Oh, I'm good. I already did mine already. I just let it go.
I appreciate y'all for letting me be a part of this, man. It's been great doing it. We will catch y'all on the next show. Happy holidays if you celebrate. Not enjoy your week. And we will catch y'all later. The Sports Counterpoints for January 22nd, 2022.